video recording. Okay, so Erin and Devin, take it from there.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to, our mediation. My name is Erin. I'll be your lead mediator, and this is my partner Devin.
Hi.
She will be my co-mediator. So we have heard that this is your very first time here in mediation, and so we just like to tell you some things about mediation and the process. So mediation is is basically two people, two disputants coming together to work on a solution for yourselves. Devin and I are neutral parties. We do not help you guys. We do not tell you what the solution will be. We just help you come together and find a solution that's best for your situation. Devin, you want to tell them about some of our rules?
Okay, so since this is online, only one person can talk at a time, or else we can't hear. No video recording, no audio recording of this mediation. Try to find a quiet place. If you could be alone, that'd be great, so there's no disruptions. And also, nobody else can be in the room with you. If you tell us anything about harm from others, harm to others, or drugs or alcohol, anything like that, we have to tell somebody, because that gets into bigger issues than the mediation that we're here for. No name calling, speaking one at a time, just out of respect, and also because we're online. And I think we can come to an agreement. Like Aaron said before, we're not here to tell you guys what to do or what you guys should stay away from, that kind of thing. We're just here to try to help you guys work out this agreement between each other in a civil way.
And with the mediation, it's important that you don't have your cellular devices, because, like Devin said, it's a distraction, and you don't want it to interfere with the process. And mediation, our number one rule is confidentiality. So it's very important that you keep this confidential. You don't want to tell people what's going on. You just want to make sure that it stays between us, because it's for your benefit. It's not for everyone else to know what's going on. So that's very, very important. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I have one. What if my mom wants to know? She wants to know what I'm here for.
Well, you can just go ahead and tell your mom that you've come to an agreement on the situation. Try not to elaborate or really over talk about it, but just we came to a civil agreement and the situation is done. But that also goes back to our confidentiality. Even though she is your mom, and I know she is concerned about you, wants the best for you, it still is confidential between us four.
So does anyone have any more questions before we start? Okay, then. So the issue here today is homecoming. We heard that there was some scrapping going on between you two. So Brett, if you'd like to explain your side of the story and what happened, you can go first.
Okay, so about, I would say, 2 weeks before homecoming, I think I met Jada for the first time. I didn't really care for her. Kind of a big mouth, to be honest. And then I found out, I knew for a while that we were running against each other, so I thought, cool, whatever, I'm still gonna win. And then I heard that she was talking behind my back on Facebook and other social media, and I confronted her about a week ago about it, and she was very rude to me. She was calling me names, just being she was being very nice. And so I think, I don't know, a couple of days ago, I decided I wanted to tear down her posters because, I didn't want to see her, that face against the wall, her face on a poster, when I didn't want to see her face at all, because, she's not a very nice person. So I don't think she deserves to win, to be honest.
All right. Okay. Jada, if you could go ahead and tell your side of the story.
Nothing really to tell. I mean, I didn't even know who this girl was. Like, I don't know why you have an issue with me. I did nothing to you. As far as talking behind your back, that was never the case. I was discussing at lunch the other nominees. That was what that was. So you jumped the gun with the he said, she said thing and disrespected me by tearing down my posters. I also just want to be clear with my mediator, since this is my first time, I don't want to be here long. The only reason I'm here, the only reason I signed the agreement or the intake form, whatever you guys called it, was so it didn't stain my reputation and my character. That's the only reason why I'm here. I don't want to be friends with this girl. Like, me and her are not cool whatsoever. We were never friends prior to this. So we can, whatever we got to do. But that's my side of the story. There was no talking mess, me not being very nice. I don't even associate with her. So.
All right. Jada, I hear what you're saying, and I understand that you don't want this to be a lengthy process, but as long as everybody cooperates, we can make this quick. Now, going back to Brett, where did you hear Jada saying rumors about you from? Like, was it a friend? Did you hear them yourself? Was it on social media? Like, where did this come from?
Well, I was, walking down the hall with my friend, and I heard some kids talking, and they came up to me and told me that she was talking crap behind my back on Facebook and other stuff. So I was like, oh. They even showed me some posts. So, that's where I first heard about it.
All right. Now, since we're both on the homecoming court, since you guys are both running, we have to remember that even though this is a competition, this is a respectful competition. So, Brett, you heard rumors or gossip about you, but what Jada is saying is that she was just talking about the other competition. So you can always think of it as like because she's running against you, you might come up in conversation, but you have to remember that this is still a competition, so it might not always be the nicest things. Now, I'm not sure exactly what you heard from her, but it's still a competition. Aaron?
I have a question for Jada, because you said that you felt disrespected whenever Brett tore down your posters. She said she felt hurt that you were talking about her. What could you have said that would make her feel this way, and that she would have to retaliate by tearing down your posters?
Right, that's the thing. That's why I'm confused as well, because I feel disrespected, but as well, I'm confused because it's just like, I feel like I said, I don't even know this chick. Like, I know of her because we ran together. Like, we're on the same court. We were on the same court. Like, I know we're close in age. I know your name. But it's just like, why would I? That's not even like me. I don't know what you heard about me, and I don't know if it's from the same people, but it must be the people you're hanging around. And if it's people I hang around, I would love to know, because there's nothing that came out of my mouth that was negative about you, and I don't know who's been telling you negative things about me. So.
Okay, Jada, we see you're emotional. Do you think maybe you need to take a moment to talk to one of us, or do you think you need to, take a moment to calm down and gather yourself together? Because we don't want you to get too upset. Remember, this is a very emotional process, and we want you to have all your feelings, to be heard by each party. So do you think you need to take any time, or are you good?
No, I'm okay. I just want to get through this. That's all. I'm sorry if I'm coming off as rude.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Brett, what we just heard from Jada was what I like to call an honesty moment. She was really just saying that she actually didn't say anything about you. She really doesn't have anything against you other than that you guys are running against each other in the homecoming court. That she is just, she doesn't know anything, so she has no reason to talk about you. Is that correct, Jada?
Yes.
So if we could have, I don't know if I could ask if we could have the same from you, but do you really hear what she's saying, that she really doesn't have anything against you? All that she was talking about was homecoming, and that no other rumors are spread.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she seemed kind of emotional, so I could see, maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was. I don't know.
Brett, I have a question for you. Okay, so while you were tearing down her posters, did you ever think maybe it wasn't Jada who said these things about me? Maybe it was other people, students who wanted to see you guys argue and fight and see, who's gonna win this competition. They wanted, spice up the race a little bit.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. A lot of people are jealous, so why not?
Okay.
Right. And so I guess that goes back to when you, I think it was Brett who said that she confronted Jada about this. When somebody comes out of the blue asking you questions about rumors, social media posts, just general conversation, it's best that you just go ahead and tell the truth and just flat out the truth. You don't want to be too emotional because then people get suspicious. You don't want to be too, just go ahead and tell the truth, because then Brett, I guess she wasn't really believing when Jada told her that it wasn't her. And so she decided to take things into her own hands, even though she did confront her, which I congratulate you for that, Brett, because that takes a lot of, courage to confront somebody who has been supposedly talking about you. But at the same time, you have to really take their answer into consideration for your future actions.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Jada.
Go ahead.
To Brett, this is me like talking to you personally. I just want you to understand the reason I'm so emotional about it, I seem so heated and like irritated about it, is because posters are something that take a long time. Like, this is something I kind of knew about prior. Like, and I'm sure that it takes a lot of hard work, and you have to get pictures and put glitter and make them appealing to the eye. So for you to do that, it was like, leave all your hard work, whatever. And I understand you did confront me, but it was the way you confronted me. And also, we were in school. I was in a rush to get to class. So it was just like, on top of the disrespect I felt, how, like, if it's not a one-on-one thing, or if it's a whole bunch of people in the crowd, or if it's a whole bunch of people in the halls, it makes it seem like a disrespectful confrontation. So I understand that you were confronting me, but it was the way and the vibe you kind of gave off that it was like, I'm not really trying to deal with this right now. I would have much rather preferred a one-on-one so we could have addressed just me and you.
Yeah, and I guess how you could feel that way, because I know it takes a lot of hard work to do that. It took me several hours to make the posters, and I know you might have felt rushed, and I know it might have felt uncomfortable for you because there were so many people around us. And I guess I could have asked you if you could have met me after school or whatever, and we could have talked, or maybe that might have made you feel uncomfortable, but whatever.
Okay, so it seems like we have gotten everything out in the open here, gotten really emotions and everything out. Jada, do you have any needs from Brett?
No, like, I really don't. I mean, I feel like the situation is over and done with. I just wanted to get the tension out of the way. Like I said, I didn't really want to look bad. Like, I had a problem with you because I did not, Brett. So, no, I don't really need anything from her or need to come for an agreement necessarily. I'm fine. I guess I needed clarity. I needed it to be clear, the air to be clear.
Okay, so your needs have been met is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay, great. Brett, do you need anything from Jada?
No. She said that nothing was going on, so I guess I just have to believe that, and I have no problem with her other than that situation. So I just want this to be over and done with. I really don't.
Okay.
I should carry on.
Now, since it seems like everybody's needs have been met through this mediation, apologies haven't gone both ways, which is great. Everybody has really gotten everything out in the open. You guys just want to be done with this. That's great. We're still going to come check up on you guys in a week to make sure everything is still going, good between you guys, that people haven't been talking about the situation and that you haven't been talking about the situation with other people, just basic stuff. But I'm really proud of you guys for coming here and just flat out telling the truth, really getting everything out there and really just trying to solve the issue instead of dragging it out even further. I know homecoming is a serious thing in high school, and homecoming queen is even more serious. So I can see where this could have been an issue. So I'm proud of you guys. Really, I am. Erin, do you have anything else?
Well, to me, it sounds like both of you guys were able to get your emotions out, and you both were heard, and you both apologized for your actions. And even though you don't need anything from each other, I think it's safe to say that we can still draft up an agreement to those terms. And so if there is anything that needs to be mentioned, we could put it into the agreement. Now, I'm going to show you guys the agreement that we have, where we can just type this up together, and you both can say what you want and how what you want and how you want to go forward into this. So we have Jada, and then we have Brett. Jada, what grade are you in?
I am a senior.
And Brett?
I am a senior as well.
All right. Do either of you mind having your ethnicity or race on this?
I'd rather not. I have like 7. Like, no.
Okay, well, it is an optional question. So, Brett, do you object either?
I don't care.
Okay. Well, we'll just leave it, leave it be. Okay. So, solution, according to Jada, what would you say the solution would be best for you?
I think the solution, if we came to agreement, common ground being to just drop it, to let all the tension go away. That's all I need.
So would you say that means, not speaking to each other? You both said that you don't know of each other very well, you're not very much friends. So you think that maybe that would be best for you?
I don't have a problem with speaking, but in terms of the drama aspect of it, like speaking on the previous situation that we already let pass.
Okay. And Brett, would you say you need similar terms?
Yeah, I have no problem with what she said. With what she said. Yeah, same thing. I have no problem with her. I had no other problems with her, so.
Okay. Now, specifically, whenever, the homecoming queen is announced, and after this, kind of blows over, do you think there's any kind of specific terms you want to stick to once this is all over?
No, like I said, general, like everything being cool, no tension, understanding. Like I just want it to be a clear air. I'm a good sport. If she wins, I'm gonna clap. If I win, I hope she claps for me. So.
Do you agree, Brett?
Yeah, I'll be happy for her.
Okay.
When she wins.
Okay. So would you guys say being cordial?
Yeah, absolutely. Cordial.
Okay.
Oh, bear with me. I know, I'm sorry, I'm not the best typer. Okay, so when is your guys' homecoming? Does that matter?
No, it doesn't matter. Because I don't even know the exact date. That's really embarrassing. Wow.
Okay, so now that we've come to an agreement, once we leave the mediation setting, it's very important that you keep this confidential, and that you don't tell others what the problem is, or what exactly happened. So basically, you're going to tell others that we have solved the problem in the mediation. Do you both agree?
I agree for confidentiality. Yep.
And again, that just letting you know this is confidential, so Devin and I won't tell anyone, and it's best if you don't tell anyone either. And we agreed to do that. Okay, so if anything else comes up in the future, maybe one of you guys sees something you don't like, and you accidentally start talking about it, just know that you can come back to us and we can have another mediation session and, find another solution that works for best, the best for you two. Do you both agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you agree to all the terms above?
Yes.
Okay. We are all done and everything is resolved now. We will send you two a copy of the terms and of the agreement, so you both have your own copies, so that you know what to agree to, and make sure that you keep your side of the agreement. And like Devin said, we will be checking up on you in about a week or so to make sure that everything is good, and hopefully all of this will be water under the bridge by then.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yes, thank you. We're so happy that we can help you guys, and we're glad that you both are mature enough to come to this setting, work your problems out like adults.
All right.
Okay, I'll talk to y'all soon.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
All right. Erin and David, great job as usual. Peter, can you turn your video on so we can begin the debriefing session? All right, go ahead, Peter.
Hey, good job. I like the fact that you guys did the overview. You talked about the confidentiality, the idea of talking with your parents and comforting them and letting them know what you're doing, but still keeping it to the group that was in the mediation and helping them become adults, because as we grow older, we need to basically develop the skill sets to interact with other people without the hand-holding of our parents. So that was really good. And I like the fact that you were going back and forth, asking questions, if they were agreeing with you with the groundwork rules that we laid out, and the confidentially part to it, and then asking them to turn off the cell phones. I thought that was really, really good to avoid distractions. You guys covered the topic pretty good. And I noticed throughout the mediation that you were saying the good phrases like, I hear what you're saying. Did you mean this? Could you kind of say what you said in a different way? And you gave a statement that they would say and then follow up. Is that correct? Did you mean to say that? Is this what you meant? So I really liked that, that back and forth and that clarity you guys gave them. And Christina, do you have anything you want to add? Is Christina still here? But that was good. So how did you guys feel?
I thought it went well.
Yeah, I think it was kind of easier. I wanted to know, a little bit more about what was said and, how it made them feel. But, I just try to roll with it and go with the flow.
Yeah, you can only, people will only be willing to say so much. So
Yeah, that's another note I put down too, the different energy levels. I think Jada had a little more energy in the conversation and you pointed out a little more emotional. Yeah. And I thought that she tried to balance it pretty good between her and Matt. So that was good, and try to give both of them enough speaking time to get their point across.
Right.
So that was really nicely done. And then at the follow-up, I thought it was really good that you both had the skill level as far as technology to immediately do a screen share. So it showed that you were a professional and you had prep work or that you had experience before, instead of saying, hey, give me 20 minutes while I set up my little screen share, because that could make the combatants a little more agitated with having to wait for us to get our stuff in line. So that was really good.
Right.
That was nice.
Thank you.
And then, yeah. How else did you guys feel? What did you feel that you might need to work on or get more control of, or the type of questions you might need to ask?
I think I like to put stuff in like realistic view. I think I don't want to put it in realistic view and give advice at the same time.
Yeah.
Like when I started talking about how homecoming is a competition and things are going to be said, I didn't really want to be like, you shouldn't take stuff to heart, because you never know the type of person you're dealing with, how much to take to heart, what not to take to heart, that kind of thing. So I felt
Brett, did you feel like they were listening to you and giving you feedback and a chance to speak? Or
I did, though.
Yeah, you did.
I did, but I was kind of disappointed on one thing. I mean, they did an awesome job, but the one thing I was disappointed is I tried to drop like a hint, like I said I showed, I saw some posts that she said something that she said, and they didn't pick up on that. So it kind of took a turn I didn't expect, but I just went with it. So
Well, yeah, that's why I heard you when you said that. I did listen. That's why I asked, maybe could it have been someone else, who was saying that stuff, because she had said multiple times, it wasn't me. I wasn't even really talking about it. I mean, I didn't want to, say I believed her over you. I just wanted to make sure that, if you saw what you saw, was it really coming from her, or was it maybe coming from, someone else trying to start something in between you guys? Because I've seen stuff like that happen all the time. I don't want to say that, because I have to stay neutral. But yeah, definitely, I definitely heard you though.
okay.
Yeah, I did as well, but I just didn't want to like kind of go into that situation because, like Aaron was saying, somebody could have easily like logged onto her Facebook and like posted these things. So then, even though it's her account, her responsibility, we can't exactly point the fingers at her without her actually like saying it. Like if you hear her saying it, it's more viable than us seeing a post or a text, because people like to fake those nowadays.
So you guys made a kind of a conscious decision to keep on topic and not to get sidetracked with the social media stuff. That's how I viewed it. And that Brett didn't seem to bring it up again, that you kind of like, it might not be that big of a deal, and let's just make the resolution, the agreement, and continue from there. Did you, the mentors, did you guys find it challenging when they said that they weren't friends before and they didn't want to be friends after? How did that make you feel? Did that make you kind of like, I'm glad you didn't push it like you have to be friends?
No.
I know from actual like mentoring experiences, me and Aaron mentor together or mediate together all the time. So that's often like the end result of most of our mediations is just be cordial, but not friends, be acquaintances, but we're just not going to be friends anymore. So it wasn't really that surprising to me.
Yeah, that was really good. They didn't push it.
Yeah, I could definitely tell just the attitudes they both had when they both came in. Jada, of course, was more upset, and Brett, at the beginning, she said, she didn't like her. And I wanted to say, like, no name calling and be nice and be respectful, but I was just like, maybe it was just an emotional thing, and maybe if it kept going, then I would say something. But yeah, the first time, I just don't want to be like, hey, cool it. So yeah, I could definitely tell that they probably weren't going to end up being friends at the end because, you tore down someone else's posters. That's kind of like, there's no going back from there. So,
Did you think, Brett, that it helped keep you, I don't want to say in line, but aware of the fact that the ground rules were laid first and that they wouldn't tolerate name calling or, too much aggression as far as that? Did that help you?
Yeah, it did help, but I was kind of surprised they didn't say anything to me during it because I did call her names like a couple of times, and I'm surprised they didn't like address it or like stop me because that would have, like, if someone called me a name that I wouldn't feel very, especially if I was mad at them, I wouldn't feel very good, or I would try, or I would say something to them. So.
Well, normally with that situation, if the other person doesn't bring attention to the name calling or the name that she has been called, we don't like to bring attention to it. Because, of course, people, when they come in here, they're already angry, so they might not be listening exactly to your side of the story. So if you're like, hey, don't call her that name, then they get even more upset. So if Jada had reacted like, hey, she kept calling me this name, then I would have been like, hey, Brett, remember our rules and everything. Also, you can't talk over people because they're
And also, Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I thought that you your restraint on not jumping on Brett so much for the few words she said or the few names she said was mature. You didn't have to like slam her, put your foot down, and then you measured Jada's response to it, and you determined really quickly that since Jada didn't get so mad, why bring it up? But I think you mentioned during the call that the hold button, and you asked if she was emotional. So I felt comfortable with you guys. If it got out of hand, that you knew how to hit the pause button and then give it a little break. So I thought that was pretty good. Well
Yeah,
done.
because Devin knows we've had experiences where they want to get loud and start fussing, and if we can tell basically, if someone's getting really upset, if they need to take an emotional, like if they need to take a moment for themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I really like the fact that you were doing the follow-ups and you asked repeatedly at the end, do you guys need anything from the other person? How do you feel? Or we're going to contact you. And you reminded them again at the end, the confidentiality of the process. So I thought that was really good. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss or talk about?
Why don't we hear from Christina? Christina?
Okay, sure. And so I'm clear. I'm observing, just because this is my second. Am I observing the feedback from the mentor, or am I observing all of it? Do I give feedback to everybody? Giuseppe, that's a question for you, or for somebody, for clarity.
You can comment on anything and on anybody.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Okay, great. Okay. I just wanted to know. Thank you. Okay, so I really liked you could tell Devin and Jada that you do work well together, that you have a rhythm and a flow, and giving each other, taking turns. It's very natural to the two of you, and you have a pleasant disposition and face as you're listening. Devin, your face is always very neutral, which is very nice. And I've noticed, well, wait, let's see. Devin, you're wearing the white shirt. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yeah, your face is always very neutral and positive. And Erin, you always open up with a smile that's very relaxing. And so it's so important, because since we're doing online peer mediation, and all those facial expressions in the beginning are really comforting and can ease somebody into the process. So that's helped. That was very, very good. And I liked the recap of the rules that you went over. And as I'm learning about this process, is how it goes, I'm understanding now that they've seen the rules and the agreements before they enter in the mediation. So you're just going over it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Usually that's how it goes.
Perfect. That's how it flows. Okay, and goes. Excellent. And I would, one thing to think about, maybe is just to get some confirmation, because it sounds like, maybe I'm learning how this process is working, but if they signed an agreement before, maybe it would be good for them about the rules. Maybe it'd be good for them to just verbally confirm during the mediation, if that makes sense. So these are the rules, and just again, can you uphold these rules? Because when Brett, at one point, I could tell she thought about those rules. She wanted to use a name and call the other dispute to the name. I could tell. And at that time, the feedback that I would give, is just really kind of acknowledge that she did follow those rules, even though it was tough. So even during that mediation, just acknowledge how the restraint that she used in not going there, even though it's nerve-wracking, because you're not agreeing with her as a mediator, but you're saying, it seems like you're pretty upset. That's when you can use those emotions, that you're really upset, Brett, and I just want to acknowledge that, thank you for keeping to the rule and no name calling. How would that have felt, Brett, if you heard the mediator say that?
It would make me feel good, because, even if I was mad, and I showed that kind of restraint, that would have felt good. And I didn't feel shamed or anything during the mediation. They always made me feel very comfortable. It was very hard to be mad with those two. Even if it's really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, we try to make you guys not so much more mad, but let you get your emotions out, and then feel resolved at the end, and not so much more upset.
Yeah, and even you two were very pleasant, and I felt it was very easy to feel comfortable with you two, because both of you are so sweet. So it's really hard.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And what I like, so feedback for the process, like with our mentor, Peter. Peter, I really like how you were asking a lot of questions during the debrief of the mediators and asking them how they felt during the process, and then even asking Brett. So that's good. Sometimes we give there's different ways of giving feedback. It could be, good job, you did this well. Have you thought of that? But it's also asking questions to kind of pull out some other ways that the mediators can start owning their growth. So I like how you were asking questions, Peter, pulling that out from them. And that pulled at an important point that Brett stated, which was about kind of, she dropped the hint and she was a little disappointed that it didn't go the way, maybe at the time that it didn't go where it went, that there was some, what did you say, Brett, that there was some online that the other disputant had actually, the online stuff that would never surface if you didn't ask questions.
Yeah.
So I think the use of inquiry questions in the feedback as a mentor is important. As opposed to just straight giving, this is the good, this is the bad, or this is the good, this is something that can be worked on. And the other, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then let's see. One thing to think of, I wonder if you find yourself as a mediator speaking a lot, recapping for the disputants, for them to hear. One thing that you might want to try on is having Brett or having the other disputants recap what they heard. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So Devin, when you did a really nice restate and it was a little lengthy, and that's not bad, but if you want to try a new strategy when you're like, okay, I can totally do a restate now, and that could help the mediators or the disputants hear this, one thing to try is restrain yourself from that and have maybe Brett restate something that Jada had said, or Jada restate something that Brett had said, because some things could surface. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, off of that.
You guys
just off of that, I like to think of myself as a reporter, and when you watch a TV show, the reporter shouldn't be the main focus. It's supposed to be the interviewee. And so when you ask questions and you let the interviewee answer the questions, then the show's better. And so that kind of be a thing too, is act like a reporter interviewing somebody and let that person, shine.
Yeah, and you might just want to try that strategy on, because it might be something that could bring up all kinds of different things that that use of restraint can bring out your role as a neutral and as being not showing any bias towards the situation, because sometimes giving too much of ourselves in the mediation, recapping too much, the disputants might lose out a little bit. So that was, and then the disputants can practice active listening. They can practice restating, because you guys are excellent at it.
Yeah, because usually Devin and I, we ask questions like, how did it make you feel whenever you heard, this dispute say this about you? And those are the kind of questions we like to ask, to get them to open up and, share what they truly feel. So.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And the more that you can get into the feelings, I think the better. How did this make you feel? Or can you tell me what you were, I think there was a question at one time, what were you thinking? Or there was a question about when Brett was actually going in and tearing down the posters. There was a question like, what were your thoughts, or what were you thinking? Maybe Erin, you asked that, and I thought that was interesting. And maybe as much as what you were thinking, what were you feeling at the time while you were doing this? And considering then restating, or having the other disputant restate that, having Erin, because that could create some empathy for each other, so that maybe they could hear and feel each other differently when they come out of this, and maybe they'd be a little bit. Not that they need to be friends, but at least have some depth of some emotions from one another.
Yeah, the perspective questions are good. Like, how do you think she felt, or how do you think she was thinking, or put yourself in the other person's shoe. I think that helps make people gain empathy and understanding that maybe the actions didn't represent what the person was actually thinking or feeling, and that they misbehaved because they didn't know how to communicate. And one of the big things with this whole thing is helping the combatants learn to communicate in a way that solves problems instead of make them worse.
Yeah. You guys did a great job, and it was a great scenario, real life scenario, huh?
Yeah.
On homecoming.
Thank you for your feedback. I have a couple of questions. One is for Brett. Brett, was this your first experience in an online environment, with an online mediation?
Yes.
How did you like it? Is it interesting, useful, weird?
It was weird because I'm so used to having it like face to face, and I was trained. Well, I've done a mediation before, not like a serious one, but mock ones before, and it was just very different. I guess it's good if the both the disputants are like really hostile toward each other. That way they can't like get at each other. I think it's like positive and for that reason. But I guess I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't a negative experience. It was just different, very different from what I'm used to.
Okay. Well, let me clarify that the reason we are doing this is to help the co-mediators practice their mediation skills online, okay? Mm-hmm. And we also want the other two disputants to learn with assistance of a mentor as much as possible out of each simulation, okay? So the idea is that you can have peer mediators across the United States, mentors across the United States, and they can practice their skills online. That doesn't mean that they have to mediate online, but the skills that they practice can be used face-to-face. Mm. Okay. And also by participating in these online simulations, the participants realize the pros and cons of online mediation. For example, one pro is the fact that the parties feel safe because they are not across the table from each other. One con is that you may lose some of the body language, let's say, that you have face-to-face. So let me make my question to you, Brett, more specific. You think this is a good way for practicing your mediation skills?
Yes, I do. And it also helps them practice their facial expression because that's all you see. So if they or you can see that they're not being neutral, it's very clear, and I think it's good in that respect. And also it's good because you don't have to be in like one setting, and you can be like very flexible with training and what time, like location. So I like it for that. Right.
In this case, we have Jada participating from her car, right? She was in the car, okay, and I think she was using an iPhone, I guess. Anyway, I have another observation for Erin and David, a small technical thing. At the beginning, after the opening statement, you obviously ask each disputant to tell you their side of the story, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in this case, I think you said, let's begin with Brett or let's begin with Jada. I don't recall. All right. In any event, usually it's a good idea to ask the disputants who would like to go first.
Okay.
So you tell them, we are here and we're going to give each of you to tell us your side of the story. Who would like to go first? Okay. And they decide. Mm-hmm. Now,
right.
There is also a trick. If, for example, you want one of them to go first, right? You can suggest, well, do you want to do it in alphabetical order? For example, if Erin and David were the disputants and I would like David to go first, I would say, shall we do it in alphabetical order? So shall we begin with David? But ideally, you like the parties to agree who goes first, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because otherwise the other disputant thinks, why are they starting with her and not with me?
Right.
Yeah. But I found that, when you do real life mediations and you ask who wants to go first, there's been times where nobody says anything, and then there's been times where they both start yelling at each other, and it's kind of hard to, especially if it's an online setting, if they both start talking at the same time, you can't hear what one another is saying. And so for a second I thought, Brett, when I asked her if she wanted to go first, well, I asked her to tell her side first. For a second I thought she wasn't going to say anything, and so then I was going to say, okay, if you don't feel comfortable speaking first, maybe Jada, you would like to speak first. So I just feel that maybe it kind of gives the mediation some direction. And I did pick Brett on purpose because she was the one who did the act against Jada, and so I wanted to hear, why she did it.
Oh, I see. Oh, all right. Well, what I'm trying to get at is it doesn't matter what decisions you make. I think what matters is that the disputants perceive the process as being fair, and that you don't take sides. And if there is something that you decide along the way for any reason, it's better to explain the reason and to ask the other disputant, does that make sense to you? I mean, it's okay with you? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Otherwise, you lose the risk. You run the risk that you lose the disputants right away from the beginning, because there is a risk that they perceive you as being biased. Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
One thing that I did like, Aaron, is that you had a reason for what you did. So you were applying critical thinking skills, and that's great. Right. But then, what he said is to share with the people in the session. One of the things I use too is if a person's really animated or agitated, I ask them if they want or need to go first, because I find sometimes when somebody's angry or emotional, they have a hard time sitting there and listening and letting the other person who's calmer going first. But I think that his suggestion of taking control by setting up a question or the answer to, like, you want to go alphabetically or go by age, or, that allows you to control the situation while giving them the idea that they're still in control too. So I like that suggestion of the alphabetical or age thing. That's like
to lighten things up. You can even suggest to flip a coin. You see what I'm saying? But certainly you don't want to give them the impression that you are taking sides. Okay. One thing that I have not understood yet, and I would like to understand, is the peer mediation a voluntary process?
It's supposed to be.
On the situation.
Yeah.
Well,
if the teacher refers them, go ahead.
If it is voluntary, probably that word should be part of the opening statement. This is voluntary. Okay. If for any reason you're not comfortable participating in this, no problem. Just let us know. To put the parties even more at ease, that they don't need to be there unless they want to.
Right. And in our process with peer mediation, it's always voluntary, and we use that as part of our opening. And we use words, like what Devin and Jada were doing is, we're here to help you solve your problem. You do the work, but we're here, and then everything's voluntary. So that's, like you said, that helps with getting the ownership. And just to share, I really do like the feedback that Giuseppe gave regarding the opening statement, who needs to go first, and to be mindful of how you open that up, whether it is flipping a quarter or you detect the angriest person, because as Peter said, angry people have a hard time listening. So being transparent with that helps ease people to know that, okay, you're really here not with an opinion or with a bias already about who's at fault.
Right. Okay. Now, a couple of observations about the agreement writing. First, I noticed, Erin, that you're very familiar with.
I'm trying. It's a little rough for me. I'm trying.
Yeah, you're very good. All right.
Used to it.
Okay. I don't know whether you recall, Erin and David, I suggested to Cindy to change the agreement at the end. Instead of having two boxes, okay, agreement according to disputant number 1 and agreement according to disputant number 2, I suggest to have only one box, disputant's agreement, and that's it. And you write, Brett agrees to do this by blah, blah, and Christina agrees to do this by blah, blah. So there is only one box instead of having two different boxes. Because the fact that it's one box implies the fact that it's a shared agreement. Visually, it gives an idea of the agreement much better. Does that make sense? Okay. And I probably Cindy didn't have time to edit the Google Drive document, but anyway, I think that the final agreement has to have a simple format and has to be specific in terms of the terms. So disputant number 1 will do this by, disputant number 2 will do this by, and ideally there should also be a provision saying if that doesn't happen, both parties agree to come back to mediation before they take any further action against each other. It's like you build in a plan B. You see what I'm saying? Something goes wrong. Because if you write an agreement and it doesn't work out, not only the disputants are angry at each other, but they start believing that mediation was a waste of time.
Right.
They lose not only the trust against each other, but they also lose the trust in the whole mediation process. So what a waste of time. Right. I mean, I've been there 1 hour, I thought we had an agreement, and I was right all the way. That person cannot be trusted. Okay. Also, final thing, Erin or Devin, before typing the agreement, writing down on a piece of paper. So keep separate the agreement reaching and the agreement typing. So that when you type, you only type what they've already agreed on a piece of paper, right?
Okay.
Instead of combining the two tasks. Okay, so you write
the recap.
Down, yeah, you write down. Disputant 1 agrees to do this, right? By blah blah. Disputant number 2 agrees to do this by, okay? And then you said, is it okay if I write this up for both of you? So you're all on the same page, you know exactly what you've agreed on? Okay, let's do it. All right. Then you pull up the document and you type.
Okay. I'm a little confused when you say like the one whole box, because sometimes they don't have the same agreement, or sometimes, they don't want the same things. So if you put it in, if you have two separate boxes, it kind of, we really want them.
Why don't you pull it up? Can you pull it up? Okay.
I can.
So it's easier. It's easier to talk about it.
Yeah, in our stage of mediation, we would call that, the brainstorming piece would be called the wants and willings. So you're right, Erin, where there could be different wants and different needs, and that's hard to write up an agreement. But you can always,
Okay,
usually it's my dogs.
All right, okay.
But what I like about having that drafted separately is that it can help focus when you're on the place to write the agreement, it will help focus the discussion more about what each participant is willing to do, when, where, and then having that discussion about what if this doesn't work. So plan B.
Okay.
Erin, can you go down the document so we can see more of it? Also, you have seen that people don't like the ethnicity stuff, right?
The ethnicity?
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean,
anyway,
it's an optional question. She does it for statistic reasons, because I know,
right.
yeah, that's why they put the grade level and they put
Right.
gender and stuff like that. Because, yeah.
Okay, so you see solutions according to disputant number 1, right? And then you see solutions according to disputant number 2. Now, the solution is a shared solution. So that's why I think it should be disputant solutions, and that's it. They are both on the same game. They're playing, the agreement belongs to them. But at any rate, probably I'm overthinking about this. And the specific directions should be in the agreement itself.
Well, yeah, I asked if either of them had anything specific that they wanted, to put in the agreement, and they both said no. So I just left that part blank because, if they don't want it in there, there's no need to put something in there that they don't want.
Well, hold on a second, because Erin, you brought up an excellent question, okay? Now, if the parties are happy with an agreement which is vague, okay? It is up to you as mediator to decide whether it's your job to keep it vague, being aware that if an agreement between two people who don't trust each other is not clear, chances are that it's not going to work out.
Okay.
So it's up to you to say, are you okay with that, or would you like to make it more specific so that each of you knows exactly what to do and what you have to do if things don't work out the way you promised? It's an excellent question. Some mediators say, it's not my job. If the parties are happy with their agreement, who am I, to bother? Some mediators are more aware that the more the agreement is vague, the higher the chances that it will not work out.
Well, I try. Yeah. I mean, in the past, I've made agreements more specific, and I really want to focus more on having what they want in their own words in the solution, because I don't want later on down the line when we do the follow-up and we show them the agreement that they signed and say, hey, no, I didn't say that, I didn't agree to that, I'm not going to do that because that's not what I wanted. I just want to avoid that, because that's happened before.
Right. Okay.
But I understand what you're saying. If it's vague, it's harder to agree to. So that's why I try and ask them. Is there anything specific that you want? Is there anything that you need? So yeah, I try to leave it for them to tell me.
For example, and Eric, if you want, you can stop share so we can.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. For example, one key question to ask at the end is, what can possibly go wrong with your agreement? Instead of taking for granted that it will work, and keep your fingers crossed, say, what could go wrong with this agreement? And do you want to talk about this? Do you want to talk about the possibility that it's not going to work? Given that, until 1 hour ago, you didn't trust each other. But anyway, these are probably...
No, I like that.
More sophisticated.
I like it. I think it's sophisticated, but I think they can do it. I think this is the nice piece of being part of this online mediation is that, who knew that you were going to get all this coaching opportunity to just amp up your skill set. So just continue that, knowing that we're all learners and that we're going to learn a lot through this process. And already just thinking about the agreement and thinking about as you're coming to that point with the disputants, thinking about, what if this doesn't work out, and putting that question on them, what might be some challenges. That's really a level of sophistication to your practice. So I think that's really good feedback. Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying this is because I've noticed that you have the skills to mediate and help the people reach an agreement. Okay. You have demonstrated time and time and again. But perhaps now is the time to get even more professional, more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Okay? What can go wrong?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Erin and David? Okay.
It's a good tip. Yeah, but
All right. Okay.
I do remember, in high school you're pretty immature, so I don't know if some people can handle that level of maturity yet. But I'll definitely put it, simulate it to my, skills and try and work that out, because you never know, they may actually say, hey, that's really, a mature way of thinking, and that's really sophisticated. Maybe I should, mentally become more mature. So it's a good tip.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. Do you have any questions for each other? Erin and David, you have done 5 simulations now?
Yes.
Is it working for you?
It's fine. It's like normal.
Are you learning every time something different?
Yeah.
I try and say, incorporate what you guys say from the last debriefing, and try and work that into mediations now.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you, Peter. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Brett. And say hi to your dog. So in the next couple hours, you will receive the video of this simulation, right? And I think we have either 1 or 2 more simulations next week. But I'll leave up to Cindy and Karen to figure out.
Are they next Tuesday and Thursday?
Well, not according to the calendar. I've asked Cindy, once she has decided which days we are running the simulations, to enter that information on the calendar.
Okay.
But she will keep you posted, right? All right. So thank you, everybody, and I look forward to see you again then.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.